Hello, this is Short Stories, brought to you by the National Taichung University of Science and Technology Language Center. Today's short story is actually a poem. It's called Casey at the Bat. It's probably the most famous poem about baseball in the entire world. In fact, it might be the only poem about baseball. Casey at the Bat was written by Ernest L. Thayer and was published in 1888 in the San Francisco Examiner. The poem was so popular that it was turned into a stage performance, which actor DeWolf Hopper played the role of Casey. The poem has a comedic tone and a surprise ending. I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. Patron. Patron. Several thousand patrons attended yesterday's baseball game. At the bat. At bat. Next at bat for the Los Angeles Angels is Shohei Ohtani. Pride. Pride. His pride kept him from asking for help. Sneer. Sneer. The boxer sneered at his opponent. Ain't. Ain't. We ain't ready to take the English test, teacher. Umpire. Umpire. The umpire declared it a foul ball. Tumult. Tumult. The government's new pension plan caused a lot of tumult in the streets. Strike out. Strike out. The Oakland A's lost the game after Kevin Smith struck out. The story. The outlook wasn't brilliant for the Mudville Nine that day. The score stood 4-2, with but one inning more to play. And then when Cooney died at first and Barrows did the same, a pall-like silence fell upon the patrons of the game. A straggling few got up to go in deep despair. The rest clung to the hope which springs eternal in the human breast. They thought, if only Casey could but get a whack at that, we'd put up even money now with Casey at the bat. But Flynn preceded Casey, as did also Jimmy Blake, and the former was a hoodoo, while the latter was a cake. So upon the stricken multitude grim melancholy sat, for there seemed but little chance of Casey getting to the bat. But Flynn let drive a single, to the wonderment of all, and Blake, the much despised, tore the cover off the ball. And when the dust had lifted, and men saw what had occurred, there was Jimmy safe at second, and Flynn a huggin' third. Then from 5,000 throats and more there rose a lusty yell. It rumbled through the valley, it rattled in the dell. It pounded on the mountain and recoiled upon the flat. For Casey, mighty Casey, was advancing to the bat. There was ease in Casey's manner as he stepped into his place. There was pride in Casey's bearing, and a smile lit Casey's face. And when, responding to the cheers, he lightly doffed his hat, no stranger in the crowd could doubt 'twas Casey at the bat. 10,000 eyes were on him as he rubbed his hands with dirt. 5,000 tongues applauded when he wiped them on his shirt. Then, while the writhing pitcher ground the ball into his hip, defiance flashed in Casey's eye, a sneer curled Casey's lip. And now the leather-covered sphere came hurtling through the air, and Casey stood a-watching it in haughty grandeur there. Close by the sturdy batsman the ball unheeded sped. "That ain't my style," said Casey. "Strike one," the umpire said. From the benches, black with people, there went up a muffled roar, like the beating of the storm waves on a stern and distant shore. "Kill him! Kill the umpire!" shouted someone on the stand, and it's likely they'd have killed him had not Casey raised his hand. With a smile of Christian charity, great Casey's visage shone. He stilled the rising tumult. He bade the game go on. He signaled to the pitcher, and once more the dun sphere flew. But Casey still ignored it, and the umpire said, "Strike two." "Fraud!" cried the maddened thousands, and echo answered, "Fraud!" But one scornful look from Casey, and the audience was awed. They saw his face grow stern and cold. They saw his muscles strain. And they knew that Casey wouldn't let that ball go by again. The sneer is gone from Casey's lip. His teeth are clenched in hate. He pounds with cruel violence his bat upon the plate. And now the pitcher holds the ball, and now he lets it go. And now the air is shattered by the force of Casey's blow. Oh, somewhere in this favored land, the sun is shining bright. And the band is playing somewhere, and somewhere hearts are light. And somewhere men are laughing, and somewhere children shout. But there is no joy in Mudville. Mighty Casey has struck out. The questions. Number 1. How did the audience feel about Casey going to bat? A. They were anxiously waiting for his turn to bat. B. They were not happy that it was his turn to bat. C. They didn't care that it was his turn to bat. D. Casey never went to bat. The answer is A. They were anxiously waiting for his turn to bat. Question 2. What was Casey's attitude at the first and second pitch? A. He was nervous. B. He was self-assured. C. He was absent-minded. D. He was fiercely serious. The answer is B. He was self-assured. Question 3. What was Casey's attitude at the third pitch? A. He was nervous. B. He was self-assured. C. He was absent-minded. D. He was fiercely serious. The answer is D. He was fiercely serious. Question 4. Who won the game? A. The Mudville Nine. B. The Chicago Cubs. C. Casey's team. D. None of the above. The answer is D. None of the above. Casey's team is the Mudville Nine. They did not win. The Chicago Cubs are not mentioned. So the answer is D.